Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Hello, good afternoon. Hello. Okay. Uh, so while we are waiting for others, I'll just pick up from where we stopped last week. And so please, if at any point in time you cannot hear what I'm saying, so just call my attention so I can go back to so let me share my screen. Now. Thanks so much. Okay. So last week, I think we started fiber table. I was bringing just did let's say a brief introduction into fiber table. And I said pivot table is the summarization and aggregation tools in what that makes our analysis easier in Excel. So I said this is an aggregation tool that makes our analysis easier in Excel. So we are familiar with the summary, the averages, but pivot table is what is an easy and efficient way of carrying out what aggregations and summarizations. So last week I did some example, this example. So today, and also please before we continue, is there anybody that was able to attend the what are they going the question I sent you today?
Yes, because
So were you able
so I
to
was only able,
limit?
that's for the cleaning of empty cells and arranging those output of that was what I was doing. And then actually there are some places that have background content. So that was really what I was doing.
Okay, like that was the transformation you're able to do on it. Okay, is there anybody else that attempted it? Is there anybody else that attempted or that attempted the question?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
So, good afternoon. So,
Yeah, I think
okay,
this one, but I did not use any function. Oh. I just did the modifying and eliminating all those blanks. I'm not sure that it was comma. I removed it. That was the thing I was able to do there.
okay. Yeah, those are also part of the transformation process. When I say keying in the transformation process, it's storing the data on the original form. Because the file I sent to you now, that was the original form. But if I ask you to 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 derive the dashboard from that data set, you cannot make use of it in the format I sent to you. So you have to first do some transformation. So that's what I mean by data cleaning. So when you hear data cleaning or data transformation, it is what changing data set from the original format to the format that is that you can work with. So what your end goal is, depending on what your end goal is. So that data that I gave you now, you notice that what you can actually to perform aggregation on it or distribute the dashboard from it or pivot table itself from it. You cannot use it in the format in which I send it. You cannot use it in that format. So that's what I mean by information. So I'll try to speed up this class. So when we are done, then I'll explain it, how we can go about it. So now, hope you can see my screen.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir, we can see.
Okay.
Yes, I can
Now,
see.
so I'll be creating this chart. Yeah, revenue by ship mode, monthly revenue, profit by subcategory, and category total cost. So, and I'll be using it to create a dashboard. So last week I said, before we can create a pivot table, we need to have already convert our data set from range to a table. So if there's no table, you can have a pivot table. So our data has to be in table format before you can even think of before you can even think of converting it to of inserting a pivot table. And you notice that my data is in already table format. If you are not able to start them, just click on any cell. You will notice that there will be a table design tab that will pop up on the tab. So now, no waste time. So I'll come here and insert and pivot table. Let me just put it here. So I can rename this worksheet as pivot table. So now the first question says revenue by shipping. We treat all this last week. So revenue by shipment. So let me say I want to create a chart for revenue by shipment. If I can create a chart for revenue by shipment, I have to first select my ship mode. Then I'll come here. Total sales is the same thing as total revenue. Total sales is the same thing as total revenue. Like if you're not confused. So now let's say this is what. Let me remove this in ship mode. I do not need to structure. I do not need to just come to design the words on the top. So now this is my revenue by shipment. So if I want to insert a chart, just have to click on it and come to my pivot table and analyze, then select pivot chart. So now this particular this is a categorical data set. So for a categorical set, I can either use the column chart, or I can make use of bar charts, or I can make use of the pie chart. So depending on what I'm interested in, or the one that I paid. So in my case here, I'll be making use of what? I'll be making use of the bar chart. So this will be what? This will be the visual of this particular data set. So when you start a chart, you have something like this. So this is just giving additional information on your data set and your row, but we do not need it. So whenever you start a chart and you have something like this, you can just click on it. Not click on it, just pull your mouse on it. Right click. When you right click, this option will come. So select hide all free button on chart. So what you hide it. So now this total, it is called legend. You really need it for when you are dealing with what? So say things like what? Things like pie chart where you have what? Where you have different colors for your visuals. But I do not need this, so I can just what? Delete it. So we have some chart functions. We have the legend. The legend is if you're applying additional filter. So let's say I have this category. Let's say I have this category. If you want to filter it based on another condition, let me see. Let's say it's cheap mode. I have how many categories? Now let me say I want to filter it by category. What do I mean by I want to filter it by category? You know, I'm having what? The total, this is the total values for each class. So let's say I now need to break down by category. What do I mean by category? That means that for this second ship mode, if I need the breakdown based on category, that how much does furniture, the revenue that furniture generates, how much revenue does office supplies generate? So to create something like that, just have to come to a pivot table. Then establish an hierarchy. What do I mean by an hierarchy? I'll drag my category under my ship mode. You see. But if I change the position here and I put category above ship mode, you see that what? It should be giving me the breakdown. So now I'm interested in the ship mode. Now, you see that what? This is not providing what? This is providing additional information. So the total, this is the total here. But if I now need the breakdown based on each category, the total here is, let me, so now for this now, I have a 351,000. That is the total revenue for what? For first class. So if I now need the breakdown based on category, so out of the 351,000, which is the total revenue, we can see that what furniture contributes 110,000, office supplies generates 101,000, while technology generates 139,000. So this is what form of establishing an hierarchy. Meaning what? I've created my first class, like my ship mode. So if I now need additional breakdown, so now if I need further breakdown based on what? Based on subcategory, all I have to do is just add it. Now you see that what? There's been a what? Another hierarchy has been established. The total for furniture is 110,000. Now, because I've added subcategory, I can further see the breakdown of the furniture. That means out of the 110,000 generated by what? By furniture. Bookcases is 21,000, chairs is 47,000, furnishing is 13,000, tables is 28,000. This is the way we establish an hierarchy. This is how we establish an hierarchy. So, but that is not where what I need to. I will uncheck the subcategory. I will uncheck everything. That is not what I need. So now in our visual, we have what we call data label. So now, you know, on this my visual now, if I ask you that, if you hover your mouse here, you actually see the values. But if I'm asking that, what is the value? Like the standard class, say you do not have access to see this my sheet models. If I say my standard class, what is the total sum of sales? There's no way you can tell from what from the visual. That is why we have what we call data labels. If you have data labels will show you the values. So if I have data label, you see that what? I guess you see breakdown. So because I already have data label, I can click on this one and remove it by pressing delete. Because what the data label will show me the actual value. So in a situation where we have values that are that are similar, sometimes you have your bars or your bars or your columns very close. Like you have them very so close because of what you are calculating is what is they are closer. So let's say now the total here is what 459,000. Let's say I have another total that is 460,000. You notice that what the bars will be very what they will be very close. The bars will be very close. So that is what I mean by that. So now I can just name my header. I can rename my header as what revenue by so you can make it what so this is it. So now this is what the first one. Now so for the second one, it says monthly revenue. Monthly revenue. So if I'm interested in the monthly revenue, there are two ways to go about the monthly revenue. Now, the first one is I'm starting a private. I'm starting a private program. I said there are two. So the first three is when you select your dates, because for my data set, this is already in date format. So private table understand what private table creates an hierarchy. So notice what in my data set, I only have what one column for dates, this column. So if I come here and I select my other dates, you notice that what an hierarchy is established. Meaning what I have the month. So if you scroll down, you will notice that what creates an hierarchy automatically. Like that means what it's observed from your data set that okay, the data set contains what the day, the month, and the year. So the private table will create an hierarchy automatically by default. So you notice that what so now if I select, let's say the profits for instance, you see that what there is this plus sign. This plus sign is showing that what there is an hierarchy, like there is a breakdown. That means if you need the breakdown of how this total profits for this year, how it's come about, you need to break down that you can what you can generate it here. So now let's say in 2018 the profit was $39,000. So if I need the breakdown, if I click here, it will first give me the breakdown by what? By the quarters. It first give me the breakdown by what? By the quarter. So if I'm going to this data set, I can easily tell that what the sales in the profits from the first quarter was what was very low. The profit in the first quarter was very low, and the profit was high towards the last quarter. Yeah. So now if I need further breakdown, so if I click on this, so out of the first quarter that the profit was low, if I break it down into months, I can easily see the months that what. So breaking down into months, you realize that what it is January that even has what the highest profit. That profit of January is what is greater than profit of February and March combined. So now they say an hierarchy. So if I need the breakdown of what which day, how the profits come about. So we notice that what there are some days that there are profits and there are some days that what there are losses. So take for instance, maybe there is a defect in a good and the customers refuse to pay to make what? The full payment, because what? There's a defect. So that will lead to what? That will lead to loss. So let's say some uh selling phone, and when the customer wants to buy the phone, they realize that what there's a crack. Or when the person wants to remove the phone from the customer, phone fell from the person, and there's a crack. No one will want to make the full payment for the phone. So that means what? The seller will be at a loss. So either the seller sells the customer at a loss, or the seller has to first go and repair. And even if the seller repairs the phone, the seller cannot inflate the price. The seller has to sell it at what? At the current market price. And that would have what? Um, that would be a loss to the seller. So there are some days that you make profit, there are some days that you make losses. So this will what? It gives you to break down. So this is by default. If in my table I've specified that what a particular column is a date column. So if you click, if you select it on my private table what, you just give me the hierarchy. So now I'm only interested in what? I'm only interested in the monthly revenue. So because I'm interested in the monthly revenue, you just have to come here and check the other dates and check the year and check the quarter. And I do not need the profit. I need what? Sales. So now this is what? Monthly revenue. Yeah, I do not need the total. So now, and I said for any monthly data, what an example of time series data. So for any time series data, we make use of what a line chart. So if I want to insert a chart here, it should be what? It should be a line chart. So insert that on I dot chart. I do not need this. So this is how to go about it. The other way to go about it is I have to come here and create I have to come here and create a month and year column. I have to come and create the month and year column. So I can insert or if I want to start from here. So I'll start with the year. So now if I want to extract my year, I'll make use of the year function. For my month. I'm not interested in the month number, so I'm interested in the month. So I have to make use of the text. So this and the format will be in what? Months. So this is it. So this is the second way. So now I just have to come here. Start my pivot. I'm just going to okay. So now all I have to just come and select now. The columns are not showing. So if the columns are not showing, just come here and refresh. So when you refresh, if you come here, you see that what the column is already there. I just have to select my month. So this is the other way. I can just say, oh, what? This is what this is fine. So here I have to specify. So now I do not need So now this is what this is the second way. And if I want to insert my words, that I just have to go through to say make use of it. You see that what I can make use of this. I can make use of the bar column chart. I can even attempt to make use of the bar chart, but the appropriate one is to make use of the line. To make use of the line chart. So I will hide this. So these are the two ways. But it is advisable to always create columns because sometimes, let me see the data set. Sometimes the data set might not be correct order. It will be in the correct order, but you will notice the effect when making slides. It's advisable to always just create your columns for dates, especially. So now the next question says profits by subcategory. Profits by subcategory. So so profit by subcategory is okay. Sorry, everyone. Okay, let's continue. So now, so that is the first way we can go about it. So instead of just going and starting Fiverr table, we can just copy this. So now, I'm interested in the profit by subcategory. You just have to come to your Fiverr table, just check this. Select my subcategory, check my series, check my series. And also, before I just talk about profit by, also, the data set can't only just be like this. It's not only rows, it's not only have only rows. So I can come here and say I want to check how the profit by subcategory changes over the year. So I just have to bring my year to the column. So you see it. So this should just give me the breakdown of each subcategories, the profits for each one, for each year. So now if I want to visualize this, so if I want to visualize it, you see that one chart is not ideal here. That chart is not ideal here. But I can easily make it my line, it's line chart. But this line chart is confusing because what I have what I have how many years? I have 4 years rather. But you notice that what the values are closely related. The values are closely related to the season. So when you ask compare maybe subcategory or monthly revenue over the years, this is what they're talking about. This is what they're talking about. So let me put this one. If I want to do this, if I want to compare its changes over the year, I can easily just bring my year. Wait, to showing me how my revenue varies by what? By this is my monthly revenue for each year. So because I now have the legend on, if I come here and I put on the legend, this is why I was telling you that I'm deleting the legend because I did not need it for the previous ones. But now I need it because of I'm comparing with different year, or let me say different categories. So without the legend, there's no way you will know which year each line represents, each line color. There's no way you can specify which year each line color represents. So, but in these cases, I'm only comparing just what you see that my bars. I'm not comparing different values. That is why I remove the legend. But in a situation like this, legend is essential. So, is there any question on that? I will assume there's no question. So now let me just uncheck this. So now moving on. And also, I do not need this. It's just for the explanation. Just for this. So I can remove. Okay. So now this is my subcategory. So if I want to insert a chat, if this is not appropriate, I think the bar chat is not appropriate. So you will notice that what there is a particular category where the bars is like moving sideways. This is to indicate what? Loss. This is indicating what? This is indicating that what? There is a loss. So this profit now is that over my house over it. Let me put it. This is my thing. I'm going to do that. Essentially, my values. But if you check it from here, tables, you can see that what there is a loss. That is what is minus. So I think the bar chart is what bar chart is more appropriate for this than the column chart. You can make use of the column chart. It's not like there's a fine here. You just have to check it. The one that you feel it's more appropriate. Add. That's why I said everything boils down to your preference. Everything boils down to your preference, especially the dashboard and everything boils down to your preference. Just give me a minute. I've sent the attendance link to the group to place, and the link will only be active for 30 minutes. So I've sent the attendance link to the group. So now, for this, just add my data links. 70. This grid line, can remove it. So now, this is what this is from my input. I just have to rename it. First of all, I got this is subcategory. So now, um, now the next thing is I said you can name it. So that would be profits by now profit. So that's it. So now that's for that. And the last question is category total cost. So total cost is like what? You notice that I now have the cost, and I made mention of it last week. You can either create the column and calculate the total cost, or another way is to come to pivot table. When you come to just click on any of the pivot table and come to pivot table analyze. Then come to the calculations ribbon. We see the field items. Just click on calculated field. Meaning what? I want to create a calculated column. So I will name this cost. So now, for my cost now, I'll be having what? What is the sum of sales? Because sum of sales, I can start it minus sum of what? Sum of profits. So now, if I want to create, answer the last question that says category total cost, I just have to come here. That I just so now I'm testing the words, the category cost, category cost. That's all. So another way is I can just come in. And say cost. So and that will be what? Sales minus profit. So now if I come here, it's minus what? Let me name this one cost because that's the same thing. So now it is not visible here yet, so I have to just come to my private and refresh it. So after refreshing, you notice that what it is already there. So if I select it, you see that what the values is the same thing. Values are what they are the same thing. Let me change this. Let me change this points. So the values are what? Values are the same thing. Just have to you can use any of the methods. So you can create a calculated fee or create. So what I did here is what is called creating a calculated column. So if you use any function to create a column, that's a calculated column. Let's say I have this is age group. And I want to create a new column, then I'm saying if the age is less than 3, child, if the age is greater than 3, teenager, that is what I'm creating a calculated column. So this is an example, but this is an example of calculated columns. So this, if you ask now that how many calculated columns have I created in this my table? So it should be year, month name, and cost. So take it calculated columns. So now we can make use of any of them. So I just have to check. So now for this now I can insert chart. So my chart can make use of what? My chart. And then use the chart. This is the chart. Although you can see that what the values are closely related. You see that what they are closely related. So in this case, I'm just using this to explain. So you see that ideally that this, especially these values that are close, without its data label, you know that this is definitely what the lowest. But between these two, you see this is 36%, this is 34%. So you see that what they are closely they are closely related. So that's what I'm saying, that if you have values that are more close than this, that they are closer in nature, you'll be having what? You'll be having an issue to identify what the is without data label. That is what pie chart or image chart. Now let's say I've prepared these functions. And remember that what another thing is This pivot table, we can name them because it will just save as what? Just save as pivot table one, click on another pivot table. You see that was save as pivot table two. So you can rename it to meet what you're working on. Like I said, take for example, let's say I want to name this one skip mode. Perfect. You can't put space. That's why I make it as underscore. You can't put it. You can't have it. I can name this one shipment because I can name this one. Name this one shipment. So I can name this. You will see the advantage of creating this. I can send this one monthly. So now, if I'm looking for pivot table, I'm looking for the pivot tables. You just look at it. Link this to. So now, let's talk about creating the dashboard. Anyway, so there are various ways you can create what you can create the dashboard. Some people prefer creating their dashboard. They'll make use of it. They'll make use of these are worksheets. Let's create the dashboard. So some will just add visuals. Let me first bring on my visuals. So I select it. Select it. Select. Select it. So that's it. So I copy it. Let me start with this and this. So now, what I so now, sorry, please. So now, we can have it like this. So some people can put all their visions. We can use this time. We can use it that was. I can use it. So some people can put all their visions. Let's say they have multiple visions. And so to make it look ideal, you can come to the data. See this grid line and monitor. See. So this is what I mean by some people can just build and make it of their worksheet to create a dashboard. So like this is one way of creating a dashboard. There's another way. So the other way is I can come and say into and select a range like this. Let me see how to create a reference. So this range that I highlighted. So this range that I created, come here. You have this one merge center. And you can come out change section. So you see, so people can create something like this, match a range together and put what and put their charts together. This is what this is also another way of you what of you trying to create that. So now,
Yes, sir.
but
Very question.
yeah,
Yes, sir, please. I've been hearing a dashboard. So, what exactly is the dashboard? What is its purpose?
just calm down. Just I'll get there. I'll get there.
Okay.
Do you understand? I'll get there. So, like I'm just telling you about templates for creating a dashboard. Dashboard is when you put all your visuals, together. That is really visualization. So the core of visualization is of creating a dashboard. Because what? All this analysis that you're performing, creating a pivot table, you create a dashboard to visualize it, to explain what to explain the analysis. So I've told you about the either making use of the worksheet or creating a what? Creating a now, but the most commonly used method of creating a dashboard is inserting shape, making use of the shape. That is the most commonly used method. So now, if you want to insert the shape, you want to insert, you see shapes. So depending on the version you are using, it might be what? It might be in different position, but it's still the same thing, making use of what? Shape. So now let's say I select this shape. So when you select the shape, just have to draw it. Yes, easy. So now this is a shape. So this is what I'll be making use for my dashboard. So now this is my shape. So I can change when you see this shape format, I can change the color. Guess how to change. This is it. Now remember this is before chart now to put on my dashboard. So before chart now to put on my dashboard. So now first, when creating a dashboard, you must have what? A title. The dashboard must have a name. Say sales dashboard, analysis dashboard, hospital record, whatever you can do, must have a name. So now let's say I want to name my dashboard. So you make use of inserting, but this time around I'm not inserting shape. I'm inserting what? I'm inserting text. So you select the text box. So yeah, the text. So now let's have to name it. Sales. That. So I can increase the size. I can increase the size. Increasing what size. So if I keep on it, this shape format must come. So when I go to this shape format, I can change the color. I can change what. So yes, it's my what my type. So now remember last week I talked about slicer. I said slicer is used to filter your what? Your visuals. Slicer is what you use to filter your visual. So just when you hear slicer, just keep in mind what filter. So when you hear slicer, just keep in mind what filter. So now if uh so let's say now you went to a let's say university and you go to a particular department, let's say, and you go to a particular level, let's say from the level, then you ask the students what they should form a line based on their what, based on their G, based on their grade. So let's say first class on one line, second class upper on one line, second class lower on one line, and top class on another line. You know that what you filter them. Like you filter. So even if you have 100 students, you reduce them to what? To 4 categories. So filters are what? Slicers are filters. Just have it like that. Slicers are what? Are filters. And you get them from what? From your data set. You get them from what? From data set. That's why I said whenever you want to make it a slicer, make sure it is something that can filter across your data set. Something that can filter across your data set. If I'm talking of a slicer, I cannot say I want to make use of just this date. That was August 11, 2020. It does not filter my data set. I mean, it's just like if I'm talking about samples and population. You cannot make use of a sample if it cannot accurately represent the population. Do you understand? You know, when you have a population that is vast, you cannot access your population. You can make use of it. You can make use of a sample. So let's say now they're shipping products for you, 1,000 products. You can actually text each and every one of 1,000 products to see if they are defective or not. But you can you can pick 100 at random. So if you test the 100 at random and the 100 are working perfectly, you'll be convinced that there's no need for me to test everything. But see, you pick 100 out of 1,000 and it is only 40 that is working perfectly. You'll be eager to test more or even reject it that if I sample 100 and it's only 40% that is working perfectly, that means what? The 100 that you take, it is enough number to represent the whole population, which is 1,000. Because you can't actually test the whole 1,000. You can take the whole 1,000, but it will be time consuming. So now, let's say I want to get information, I want to narrow down. If I have my total revenue of 5 million, and 5 million is what? From 2010, 2020. That's 5 million. If you now need the information, like the breakdown, you want to break it down. You break it down by the year that, okay, out of this 5 million, how much did you make in 2010? How much did you make in 2011? How much did you make in 2012? You see that way? With my year, that my year in this instance is an example of a slicer. Meaning what? With my year, I'm able to what? I'm able to get a breakdown. So more like an hierarchy, I'm able to get what? Get a breakdown of my what? Of my revenue. So if you are looking at it, not making of slicer, your slicer has to be something that is not what? That can accurately represent your whole data set, and it is not much. And it is not much. The example of it is not much that I'm saying is if I come here and say I want to insert 543. Insert let's say something like this. And I select customer name. I select customer name. Now, you can see you want to filter this data set and you're using customer name. You see how the customer name is there. Because of each customer name will really give you information about a particular customer. So when selecting slicer, you have to select a category that can what? That can represent. It's not like a sample that can represent what? Your whole data set. If I selecting a customer name, the customer name is always giving information about the particular customer. But now, say I'm talking about year. You agree with me that what the year is giving information about what? About the sales made in that year. So in the year now, we can get information from each month. You can even go down for each day or the quarter. So that means that the year can accurately represent what? Can accurately represent the whole entire data set. Now let's start from there. So I'm using this my date. This date represents each day. So you can't use each day to filter your whole data set because what the days are much. So if I say if I ask how many days do we have from 2011 to 2016, you notice that what the days are what that is over 1,000 days. So you can't use that as a filter. You can't use that what as a filter. So why selecting slider? It has to be something that is at the top of the hierarchy. That once you select it, you can break it down. So now I've talked about it. Now next I have what the ship mode. So let's start with the date. So if I say I want to filter this by date, let me go down. Let me flex on selector. So now let's want to select by date. So let's say I select on the one. See, it is giving me the information. How many information? How many? It is returning 10 what? 10 data sets. Now, let me select on my data set. So by using a day, it is returning 10 data sets out of what? Out of 9,000 plus. You see that what? It is not a valid sample. If I go by the month, let me select just January. So January is equal. It is returning what? 155 data sets out of 9,000 plus. So now, if let me now select, let me do the breakdown. Let me just select here, 2021. 2021 is returning 3,300 plus. You see that now that if I want to select one for a sample, so if I want to select a sample, that is what my year is more appropriate than the day. My year is the month is more appropriate than the day, and the year is more appropriate than the what than the month. You see, that is what the concept of slicer. So let me now move. So let's say for my other data, I've established that what I can make use of the year as a slicer. So now, let's say I'm going to shift mode. How many shift modes do I have? So let me select one of the shift modes. If I select just first class. So first class is returning what? 1,500. You see that one? This is returning enough information. So if I change it from this first class, then I select same thing. Maybe it's returning 500 plus.
I don't know which one.
So let's select that. So class is returning 1,000. And you see that what that they are returning a large information compared to the day that is returning 100 or to the month that is returning 150. You see that what they are returning 1,000 plus data sets. So let's say out of 9,000, if you survey 1,500, that is survey enough to get a feedback. So let's say you sell a product to 9,000 people. Then out of 9,000 people, it's only 1,500 that give you a feedback. That review from 1,500 is enough to know the what? Is enough to know if the customer is satisfied with your service or not. So that is how you select the slicer. You just don't use anything as a slicer, any column. Now, I established that what ship mode qualifies as this slicer. That is how you go to your data set. But if you are coming to the customer, let me check this. And I select one customer. See what the information is giving me. It's only returning what? It's only returning 6. It's only returning what? It's only returning 6 out of 9,000 plus. You see that what? So that's what I mean by what the customer name is not appropriate as a slicer. If you select another name, that one is no returning fee. So they are not what they are not appropriate. So now if I want to create a slicer, for you to create a slicer, you have to create on any visual. When you click on any visual, come to Pivot Chart Analyze, you see insert slicer. Select the slicer. It will ask you that which column do you want to use as a slicer. So the column that actually that I can use as my slicer will be what? I can make use of my shift mode. I can make use of my category. I can also make use of my segment. I can make use of here. So save it. So you will see that what each slicer, you see that it is not giving me much information. It is not giving me what the categories are not much. But now say I want to make use of a slicer, then I'm selecting something like customer name. If I say okay. So now notice how this one is much. So that what? This is how this is much. So this is what this is not appropriate for slicer. So now if you want to know what a slicer does, a slicer is used to filter your data set. So now if I select first class, that really give me information on first class. If I click on same day, it really give me information on same day. So now let us say so let's say I click on 2018. Now, if I want to know the amount of furniture sold in 2018, I'll click on furniture. This has filtered it from 2018 to furniture. If I want to know the amount the consumer, the amount of revenue generated by the consumer, you click on consumer. This is what I'll further break it down. Then now, if I need information on the first class, you just have to click on the first class to give you what that information. You see how I was able to narrow down. Why? Because I'm making use of I'm making use of slicer. That is what the slicer does. Slicer just gives you an additional information. Let someone tell you that, okay, this year we made 10 million. Then you have to ask that, how much did each branch, what is the total revenue of each branch? So you know that 10 million, there'll be the breakdown because it's accumulation of the money generated by each branch. So now, if you now go down there, how much does each branch generated that year? That will give you the breakdown. So under each branch, if you have a subsection other than you can still further see the breakdown. So that means if you want to filter, you can't make use of the subsection other a branch because of the subsection only affects what that branch. It cannot affect other branches. So I said when you want to make use of the slicer, your slicer has to be something across your data set. So now, if I start realization, there's what we call KPIs. What we call KPIs. KPIs are what they are key performance indicator. Key performance indicators, we've talked about them. So they are examples of time, total cost. The performance indicator means what? The full interest of an organization. If you send a student to school, they send a student to school, their sole interest is on the student performance. So if you tell anybody at home that I've graduated, well, the first question they will ask you is what did you graduate with? So meaning what? They're interested in your performance. If I participate in a competition and anybody that's seen me that know I participate in the competition, they will ask me that which position did I take? That means what they're interested in my performance. So these are what so there are some key performance indicators. The KPI is different. The key performance indicator for an organization is different from hospital. Yes, and because of the interest of an hospital, you can't compare it to the interest of the supermarket. So the KPI is what the different they vary based on what you are working on. But the concept is what is the same thing. Is what key performance indicator. So for this, our data set, the key performance indicator of the looking at will be the total revenue, the total sales, and the total revenue, the total cost, and the total profit. So now, to do that, we still make use of what? We still make use of Fiverr. Let me just copy this account to my invoice. So I'm only interested in what? I'm only interested in sales. So I just limit some of sales of the bag already. Yeah, limit of buying. This is from the so now let's say next announcement. The purpose. I just have to change this. Check for them. Select cost. So next, check those. Select my profit. So now I have all my data. Now let's say I want to create my dashboard now. So I'm making use of what? I'm making use of the sheet. So the first thing is after creating your title, the next thing is to fit in your slicers. Say how to fit in slicers. Get this right here. From this one. Now, so for my year, I can hang it like this. When you click on the slicer tab will come. So I can change it to, I want it to be popular. What is what you know so that all this if you click on it, you only have one column. But I've done this one to 4 column. This so now this is from my year. So you can come here and say anybody knows this is a year. So I just come to my slicer tab, slicer setting, and remove the header. So I can click it. So now this is my slicer. So next is what is for my KPIs. Now I'll tell you how to make use of KPIs. How many KPIs do I have? I said I have few. If I want to insert my KPIs, I'll make it over. I'll make it of shapes again. Come on. Something. Okay. Okay. So to get it correct, you can select it, use control to select everything. When you come to shape, when you come to shape format, then you say, I'm not doing it correct. So, okay, so, yes. So now, so you see how to make it of this shape. Any question? Asking, asking. So now, how to start with the total revenue. So you don't start with the total revenue. You click on the shape you want to make. Start getting on the shape. You come to your formula bar, then put, if you want to start the function, you start it with an equals to. The next you come to price of your. Select this total revenue. You see it. So you can change the position to the same type. This is good for my revenue. Next is on my what? My cost. Start with an cost to multiply that. Select this and press enter. Next is my profit. Click on the shape first, come to the formula bar, start with an equals to, select what? Source efficient. Since they are the same shapes, I can easily just come click format printer to apply the same format with this. Click format printer to apply the same format. So that's that. So next is I have to put, so to do that, to make use of what? To make use of text box. I select text box. I put my text box here. So I'll name it as total. Total. So you can make this bit. And next, I click on this. Copy it. Let's see what this type. Just drag it. I'll name this for my total. This is for my cost. For the last one, this is my total. So for now, we can't leave it like this because of this values. So to correct that, you will click on the text box. So you are seeing what shape format. This shape format tab will come. So if you come to the shape format, you will see the shape styles. You see shape fill, shape outline. So you will come here. You remove the okay. That will first remove what? The background. But if you just remove the background, if you click on it, you see the same sign that what of this text was. So to do that, we need what? Remove that. No action. So now it will show anything. This. So when you come to this, we apply the same thing. Okay. No action. When it comes to this one, we apply the same thing. No fee. No apply. This is so this is how it works. This is how it works. Now let me start with the slicer. So after doing this, the next thing is to do is to just put your visuals. So let me say I'm dragging my visuals. So now my visuals is what is not coming like because of I put my visuals here before creating my shape. So how to go around that is just come to format and click on print for it. Control. Bring to control to pick it. So if you select this one for it, you see that what is not shared. So you can either send the shape to the back or you bring what your visuals to the front. This is what I'm talking about. Let's say I have this and I come to insert. Let's say I insert a shape. I'm selecting a shape to display over this. So first I can click on the shape and send to the back. You see that what the shape is now at the back. Or I can click on this shape and what bring it to the front. You see? So that is what I did. That's what I did here. So you can either send it to the back or you send it to the front. So the shape will follow the order of the ones you created first. So if you put your image first or you put your shape first, so it will depend on you. So now I do not need the name to you. Now, so for this, I have to come to my format. What bring to front. So now it is what front. So next, this one. This one also I have to just bring to front. This one also I have to bring to front. Now, next is just me what fitting it inside. So to fit it to make sure we have to just remove. So now this. Let me say, let me just do this. So also I will say I'm also doing this. Let's go to inside. So I can put this in it. So yes, so now this is just what's of splitting of the dice. So another thing is if I want my visuals to take the shape of my background, so I can just click on this like that. When you click it, you see different options. You get different options. So if you click on chat area, I can save it to no field. By putting it in no field, that means what to remove the background. By selecting no field, you see what you should remove the background. Let me just do it for two. I come to this one. I say no, you should move what the background. So there are different ways. Your dashboard works just boils down to what? Boils down to your preference. So now let me now explain the function of slicers. Now, if you click on this slicer, it will only fit when you first insert the slicer will really affect what? The visual you generated from. If you can select you see that what they really affect what the visual I generated it from. Now, if you want your slicer to affect the entire data set, you have to click on slicer and come to the slicer tab here. When you come to the slicer tab, you come to import connections. So if you want to know where this is what I talked about when I said you should to rename your slicer. You see, and to rename your pivot table. So you will know that what the a particular chart you create, the visuals, they will take the name of the pivot table where you create them for. So if I want my slicer to affect my keep mode revenue pivot table, that's why I said you should rename it. So it will be easier for you. Because if you do not rename it, it will just follow the order. Pivot table one, pivot table two. But if you rename it after the calculations you made, so you can easily connect it. So but if you want your slicer to affect your pivot table, you have to select it. So the pivot table I select will be affected. So now I won't select everything at first. So I'm not selecting everything. So I click OK. So now, if I filter my ear now, you will see that what my ear is affecting what? See that my ear is affecting not just this one again, it's affecting this one. Now, if I want the ear to affect everything, I want to touch on it. So I'll make sure that I select what? I select everything. I'll make sure that I select everything. So you said so now you notice that both my KPIs and my visuals now they are affected. They are affected what? By my slicer. They're affected by what? By my slicer. So but if I'm using this other slicer, they are still only affecting one. So meaning that what, when you create the slicer, you have to establish the relationship between the slicer and all your visuals. Because the slicer will really be connected to what to the visuals you generated. So now, so you see what the KPIs are doing. So if I just need the values, like the total revenue for this particular year, I can easily what? I can easily get it. So instead of checking it from the visual, this API will just give you the exact value. So now, after I connect all this my slicer, if you select furniture, consumer, first class, you can easily see their total revenue, their total cost, their total profit. That is what KPIs are used for. Now, if I want to connect the rest, you just have to click on this slicer, come to the slicer tab, come to the cost connection, and enable. So you have to come and enable it. Enable this. Enable it. Enable enable it. Enable it. So enable it. So now if you click on okay. So now I'm selecting. Notice that this particular table is by my category. So if I select furniture, because what this is by my particular, so I'm selecting only one category. That is why what this my donut chart changed. If I select two, I select everything. So this category, if you select one, it is as if you already filter it. You omit the remaining two. So let me just finish up with you guys. Let me finish up with the connection. Which is establish. Just make sure that they are connected. Terms of it will filter everything. So this is what match from this. What's going to be seen. Oh, I'm here now. What's on now? Okay. Okay, now. So I'm done. So now, if you want to retire now, let's say I need the total revenue for 2018. This is total revenue. If I want to filter it by category, so this is total revenue generated by what? Furniture. For what? For 2018. If you need it for furniture and consumer, this is the total revenue, the total cost, and total profit. If you need it for first class, you see how the what? How my slicers are affecting my visuals. So both my visuals and what and my KPIs. So the thing is, the slicer is affecting the pivot field. Because if the slider is only affecting the visual, it is not supposed to affect this because this is not a visual. So just know that what the slicer is affecting what is affecting the pivot field. So the visual is a representation of what? A representation of your pivot field. Yeah. So this is how we create a dashboard. So you might that was just boils down to what your preference. You might have another method of what of creating your dashboard. The most important thing is what you should communicate. Like that's what you communicate. That is the most important thing. So your preference, how you want to create it, it is. That is your preference. So if I come to is it inside? When you come to page layout, we have themes. So if you select, these are the themes. These are different themes. So the themes is related to what your visuals will look like. The themes is what is related to what your visuals actually look like. You get themes is related to what your visual actually. So you might have a preference what you want to make use of. You can just change. So, but I'll go with the default. So that is for that of what how you create a dashboard. So even upstairs. Is there any question? Does anybody have a question? Is there no question? Hello.
Yes, sir. There is no question for my end.
Okay. There's no question. All right. So that is for that. So now let me open the data set I said you should clean. So can someone just tell me the process or how you go about it?
Yes.
Hello.
So for yes, sir.
Okay, I'm all yes.
So after I open the data set, so I first arrange,
Yes.
I highlight it so, and then arrange the column and rows. So
Okay.
and then I create a table for it to make it easier for me to clean the data. So
You convert
and
it
then
to table stage.
yes, table.
Okay, okay,
Just
okay.
like the previous assignment, something like that.
Okay, okay. Okay, that's good, that's good.
And then for
So,
there are some background color. So I like it and I remove the background color. And then there are some blanks too here. So I think you did something like that last class. So I follow that example to delete those blanks. So that was what I was able to do.
yeah, you're already making progress with the cleaning process already. So
Yeah,
that's
there are
great. That's great actually.
yeah, but there are some instances there are some challenges that I faced here about there are some blanks. It's not all the blanks that were deleted. There are some places, some blanks that has just a single alphabet or something like that, a comma there. So it was not able to, I was not able to delete that cell for some of it on that data set.
Okay, I understand what you're talking about. Understand what you're talking about. So anybody else? Is there anybody else that tried out something?
Yeah, yeah, I've seen so.
Yes, sir, I tried. Oh, okay, James,
So,
go on.
so me, I tried. So based on what Mr. Famous just explained, I did similar things like that too. So initially, I was having some issue with that side I spoke about the commerce and the commerce. So then I looked for a way to maneuver it. So I was able to get rid of the commerce too. So I was, and one thing I noticed was that when it is
Wait,
time for
wait,
you to
wait.
delete
You said you maneuver it like wait, did you cheat the system or what? How did you maneuver it?
no, okay, let me not say maneuver. So what I did there was that initially the first day that we did this thing, I thought that after you have gone to your to that section when you click the blanks, the thing has highlighted the blank. I thought that once you just click on delete, the thing will just maybe I thought it was only one function that was there. I don't know that under that delete they have the one that said that delete to the right, delete cells, delete columns, all those things. So I just thought of a way. First of all, I deleted the one I deleted the columns, then I deleted the cells. That was how I was able to get rid of that command.
Okay, you are trying to cheat the system, but it still works. It still works. Okay, it works. Okay, anybody else?
Okay. Hello, sir. Good afternoon, sir. I
Yes.
first of all created a table. Then I check the missing values. There are some columns that are unnecessary, like they have column 14, column 16, and nulls. So they are unnecessary. So I deleted them. Then I check the data types to check whether they are correct. Then I
Okay.
unchecked nulls. When I unchecked the nulls, everything was now normal. I now have 705 rows that are all complete. No blanks again. Thank you.
Okay. That's good. All right, so let's do it together. So can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay. Wait. Hold on. I think I have to find. So it's not the file I sent. So I think I have that. No. So let me just why I have that for the what's it? Alright. Okay. Sorry about that. Hope you can see my screen. Hello.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Okay. So now the first step is the very first step is the first clean the word. First make sure the rows and columns are in the correct order. And next is just clear all the formats. So without me even searching for blanks or checking for blanks, you can see that what these there are some what there are commas here. And because there are commas here, if you are searching for blank, if you cannot actually fit, because this will be interrupting. Do you understand? This will be what? This will be interrupting. So there are ways to go about that. First is what? Let's just first check for columns that are valid. Like these two columns now, I do not need it. Let's say I want to it. I want to delete them. Delete them. So now if you click on this cell where there is comma, if you click on this cell, what do you notice about this particular cell?
It has the product name and the discount band with the unit sold separated by commas.
So ideally, that means what we have three columns in one, three different columns. You have them in what? In a single column. Do you understand? That means what we have three different columns in a what? In a single column. So that means what we have to separate them. We have to separate them. So now to separate them, let me say I insert. So now if I have a column that contain multiple columns, if I want to split them, which method they will make use of? Which method do we make use of? If
Okay, like my
I
own,
want to split
I
them,
make use of the right function. I first
you are,
use
you are
right function
splitting
and
it on
use
by,
left function.
if I use the right and left function, did they split everything? Did it split your entire data set accurately?
For the left, the this thing is splitted, and the right. Then I use
Okay, tell me the function.
I think you can.
Tell me wait, like tell me the function you make use of. The right function. How did you go about it? Tell me.
Is equals to.
Tell me the syntax because right. Okay.
Right. Uh-huh. Then I select this column C1,
Okay. Okay.
comma. Then I counted the number of this thing.
So if you are right, we start from here. So unit code you have how many space? That will be 10. That is
Yes.
okay. So if I put 10, okay. Now if I auto fill it, it is extracting more than so extracting more than what I need for the unit code. Do you understand?
Yes,
Because
sir.
of this null, this command, this null, it's definitely part of the what? Part of the other columns. Do you get? It's definitely part of what? It's definitely part of the other columns. So now, what I was expecting you to do, the correct way to go about it is
Also,
click
sir,
on it.
you can also use text to column.
What do you say?
I said we can also use text to column to separate
Like,
those text with comma.
yeah, exactly. Like, that's what I was expecting everyone to do. Like, split it. Because they are separated by what? They are separated by comma. So you can either use the what? The text before or text after function. But if you just want to separate everything at once, the appropriate what? The appropriate function to make sure what? The appropriate way to go back into is to come to your data tab, text what? Text column. Then you select what? You select your delimiter. So the delimiter here is what? It's comma. The moment you select the right delimiter, you would have seen this preview. Take for example, I select the wrong delimiter. You see that nothing is not changing. But the moment I select the right delimiter, you see that what? It should show me the preview. So then what? This is how we are supposed to split it. You see that what? The moment I splitted it, there is no what? The commas that are here, they are no longer what? They are no longer there. Do you understand? So now that is how we have to split it. So I can put this in the correct order. And I need to make my words, my header stand out so I can just go to them. That is how you differentiate your header from what? From the lines. So now, if I want to check for plants, I need to highlight everything. And I said, you can't use control to highlight everything. So you have to manually select. So this is the end of my data set. I've selected. So you can come and make use of this function. Go to specials. I'm looking for what? I'm looking for blanks. These are my blanks. Down like my what? And this. And like this now, I've removed what? I've removed blanks in my data set. So now, am I done? I'm not yet done. Okay, let's start from starting from this left column. Starting from this first column, which is column A. Can you tell me the column that seems to not be in the what in the correct order or that seems to be wrong? Or what do you observe is wrong within these columns?
Yeah, especially the
Column
manufacturing
B,
column.
country.
The country column. Okay. And what do you observe that is wrong with it?
It is not on the proper data type.
Meaning what? The extra white space. That's space. And you see that what? Their casing is not what? It's not correct. Some are in uppercase, while some are in what? In uppercase. Do you understand? So now, to go around that, I'll come here and insert column. They will make use of this function. String. The thing is to remove what? Extra white spaces. Do you get it? And after we remove extra white teeth, I want you to be in what? To be in the correct case. So I will make use of what? Proper. So that's why I said you should. These are what I wanted to check. That I said you should make use of functions. So I said you should make use of functions. So you see that everything I'll be doing is combination of all of. So the first one I did was what? I modified the columns and the row. That is what we treated in the first two. The next one I did was first the column. I think that is we treated that in what in the second week. And this one is also part of what we treated in the second week. Now, so if I press enter, so now if I were to fill it, do you see it? So now, is this in the correct format like this? Take this one. I'm talking about this set. Is it in the correct format like this?
Yes.
Everybody.
No, it's not in the correct.
Which
Because
one is not?
some countries using short form, while some
What did you say?
like the USA is short form,
Okay.
while other countries are in full.
So what am I supposed to do about the USA?
Find and replace.
Do you understand? Because what USA is what is an abbreviation. And abbreviations are always what? Abbreviations are always in capital letter. You don't write abbreviations in what? In lower case. Abbreviations are always what? They're always in uppercase. Do you understand? Abbreviations are always what? They're always in uppercase. So now, if I want to find that replace, if I find that replace, it will not work. But I want to know if you can tell me why it will not work. So let me say I'm looking for USA. I want to reply this because let's find all. Now, can you tell me why it's not working? Yeah. Can you not tell me why it is not working? If I'm trying to find that place, why it is not working?
Why it's not working is because you have not copied this particular column C and pasted as a text. It's still under that formula.
It's still under what?
Under the formula, under that function, that trim
Right.
proper function. So you need to highlight all,
understand?
copy, and paste as normal text.
Exactly. Because what? Because this particular column here, the more I try to what find that in place, this function here is what is contradicting it because the function is what is improper. To me, what I will respect the function over the find and replace because what I generated this with the function. So if my function is saying proper, and I'm trying to what replace what I want to replace, I'm making use of what uppercase. So the moment the uppercase is trying to enter, it is contradicting the proper, the function that I have there. So that's why it's not working. So now to go around that, I'll come and start. I just have to select it. So now I can now come and what? Paste as values. So I can delete this sheet that I do not need them. But why working? Like why working? Let me just so for the project you're working on, one of the instructions is what like you should not delete this rough sheet. Just leave it, like don't delete it. Yes, sir. Like I'll explain what I'm saying. So now, so if I want to replace this one now, I can now come here and say, where's my USA? Find out. That's find out the USA. Now I can now see what results. Do you see it? Now, because what it is not contradicting anything, I've been able to find and what and place. So I've cleaned up. So next I'll move to what? To unit code. Unit code, I'm having decimal. Unit code, what is the unit? The correct unit for Unisode. You know, Unisode is the same thing as what? As quantity.
Yes,
So
whole numbers.
what is the correct format for because there's nothing like I sold, let's say I'm selling phone. I said 2.5 phone today. So it
Whole
has to be in
number.
whole number. Do you understand? So that I'll come here, say, set it to what? Oh, to enter this number. Then remove what? I'll remove to it is what? It is what? Decimal basis. Decimal basis. So what? Correct one. So this manufacturing price. But before I get there, my manufacturing price, what do you observe? Is this in the correct way? My thing, is it in the correct way?
Not on proper data type.
So that means that I have to put this in proper data. If I come here and I change the alignment like this, it is still what? It is still being flagged. This is what? It is still being flagged. So how do I go around it? Just have to come here. Fine. Just make it what? Find that replace. What am I looking for? Here. I want to replace so we still here. You see that I did not change anything. I just find TV and I still replace it what with TV and it gives me the what it's correct it. You understand? Because 3 is a number. That should be a number. You know, I said numbers are what to the right, white text are what to the left. So the next is what manufacturing price, sales price, all these things they are talking about what they are talking about. They are talking about money. They're talking about money. So that what everything will be in what everything will be in there will be in the currency. And what about my dates? Is my date in the correct order? My date in the correct order.
No, it's not.
So now I can what? I can my date is what is not the correct number. So I can come and change it to this. You get so I've changed it to I've changed it to date. So now this is what I'm talking about that. I said after doing this, I can come here and say I want to create a copy. So what is creating a copy is what I can come this my what my change. So that means what this is data I change. So after creating this copy, I cannot come here and remove what all this. So this is just to show that what this is how I get my data set. Not like I'm just deleting it. You know, if I said, show me the steps, how did you arrive at this? So I can now come and convert this one to what? To a table. So you get. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So another way is we are actually out of time. So the other method I'll be very fast. So but after the class, if you have any question, just call my attention. So the another way of cleaning a data set and even a more easier way is you come to your data tab. When you come to your data tab, you notice this get data. So click on it from file. So you select if it's Excel file or CSV. But this my particular data is in what the Excel format. So there's what we call Power Query in Excel. And I want to check more on it. So Power Query is what is in Excel, is on Power BI. They are what? They are for transformation. That means what? They are for transformation. Excel security, Microsoft security. So, let's get data from file from Excel. Okay. So now I just have to select. I just have to select what where I want to get my data set. If you import it, take it to what? It will take it to what we call Power Query. So this will show you the, if you click on it, it will show you a preview. That's actually before, but this is from this preview. This is my data set. So you can just select. If you click load, it will load it directly. But if you want to clean it, you click on transform. So this is the example of this is the Power Query. So now, for any Power Query, first I don't need this column, so I can just click this and watch and remove columns. I want you to notice that what promoted header by default. Power Query make use of the first. Power Query has one default setting. So always make use of the first column as what as the header. Make use of the first column as it, and you notice that what it changed type. So if you check all these data sets, they are type. The numeric ones are in, it might not get the, maybe it is in currency or whole number, but you notice that any numeric data set they are in number, and any data set that are not numeric, they are in what? They are in text format. So now for this, I do not need these columns. We can what? Move this column. So remove this column, remove this column. So now if I want to apply all this cleaning process, like this now, if I want to split this data set, you see split column. When you click it, select the limiter. By default, Power Query, you understand what is separated. You notice that what it is already showing comma. So if you select leftmost, it should just extract one. If you select rightmost, it should just extract one. But you have to select each occurrence. If you click on this drop down, it should just tell you like a preview that the data set will be split into what? Into 3 columns. If I select okay, see that what it has split. After it split it, it has what? It has changed the header again. These are what? These are steps. So Power Query saved steps of what you've done. So if I want to go back to before I split the data set, what my data set look like before I what? Before I splitted it, you just have to go up. You see, this is it. Now I've split it. So this apply step just takes you what? The changes you apply. If you go to previous step, you get to see what your data set look like before you apply what transformation or whatever you want to apply to it. So now you notice that what this one is in text, this one is in text, this one is what is in number. So all I have to do is just rename it. So I'll rename this one to what? I'll rename this one to what? Standard. And I'll rename this one to what? Unit soap. So now, next thing you can do is, you see all these null, they are the same thing as empty. All these null, they are the same thing as blank. So I can just come here, select only this null. If I want to check if this null is the same thing across my entire data set. So from this, I can see that what null is the same thing. So all I have to do is just come here. I'll look at my data set, excluding the null. So you see that this row is the same thing as when you have what 705 rows. So now the next thing is this. If I want to clean this, it is not in the correct place. So I can say what? See this transform process. First clean it. You notice that what? It is in the correct format. Next, so if I want to capitalize each one the same thing as proper, you see that what is in the correct one. And now I can come to replace values. So I want to change the USA. I want to change it to what? To USA. So do you see it? So now this one will be what? Whole number. So for Power Query, it is currency. So anything that has to do with money changes to currency. Anything that has to do with money changes to currency. Anything that has to do with money changes to what? So you change it to currency. This is date. So you can just what change it to what? Date. Do you see? So now these steps they show you what you've done. So now if you are done with it, if you clean your data set here, there are very options like various options. So you can just now close and load. When you close and load, it will be loaded in what? In table format. You see it. See that what? It is in what? It is in table format. This is another way to clean it. One thing about the Power Query is that it will load your data set as if you put it in table format already. The moment you close and load, you don't need to convert it to it. So if you want the steps you applied, just the take it back to Power Query, you get to see the steps that you apply. You get to see the steps that you apply. So that's another way you can clean your data set. It is even more faster than using the function because if you want to use the functions, you have to create new column where you pass the new function because you can't use the function to override what you have already. It's not possible. But with Power Query, you don't even need to create new column. You just have all your steps they have saved. Then you get to load it. So Power Query is more faster, but you need to know the basics because not every time that you will be using the Power Query. So regarding that, is there any question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
Concerning for that date column. So how are we sure that okay the date column for that data set is in the right order? What I mean is that maybe we're having a data set for date which has maybe 410 2019 or so. So how are we sure that okay this date it has to be in date first before month or month first before date?
No, you see, the date format will follow your system. It follows your system, your system format. And one thing about the date is another way for you to know about the date. There are sometimes like this now it is confusing, but the data set you'll be working with the date. It is not possible that all the dates should be below on the first or 12th. So the moment you are scrolling, then I see. Okay, now let's say why I'm just seeing 11 and 1. Oh, that's crazy. So now, okay, let's say I scroll, I see something like this is not common, and it is not being common. Wow. Uh-uh. Uh-uh. What the data I have here is less than 12.
So
Now that's surprising. So, but the normal default data set, the normal default actually is even like the normal default of Excel is the what are they calling it? The month, days, and year. It follows what you are using, like the time. It follows like the time format of your system. Do you get?
okay.
Like it follows your system format. So if that's why if I come here, if I select now, it should give me what the dates and time format of my system. So if someone else's system is what date, month, and year, then now we return date, month, and year. Do you understand? It will return what so it follows your system format. It follows your what? It follows your system format. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand now.
So is there any other question? So now for the project,
Okay.
uh, for the project, we have to first clean the data. Now, like just like what I did here, you know, so that I leave this my clean data before creating a table. Just getting- I'm ranking up. Do you get? So you have what? My clean, your clean data, and you will have what? You have the date, the table. So you clean your data set, then you create a copy. It is that copy that you convert to table, and it is from the table that you create a pivot table and the possible visualizations. You understand? It's from there you create the pivot table and the what and the visualization. Also, so there are some questions. So you just have to go to the questions. If you do not understand, you put it. But I say you create some calculated columns. Some calculated columns I'm talking about is now if I click on this, there are some places that are what they are age. The calculated columns, say for example, the gender column now, it is given as F and M. Then I actually should create the calculated column for it to write it in correct order. So if you want to create the calculated column, you have to create a column, then make use of what the if function. So something like if it is F, return female. If it is M, return male. Do you understand? So if there's any question, you can just add. So the visualization, the chart you want to use, it is based on your preference. The method, it is based on your what? Based on your preference. So any method, anything you want to do, everything boils down to what? Boils down to your preference. And also, so after the submission of the project, we issue what? Certificate to be what? Certificate to be issued. So after the what? After the project, certificate what? Certificate will be issued. So before what the certificate or new certificate, you have to be evidence that you participate. The talk of your attendance, talk of your project. You get talk of your project. And for the certificate, I think the fee is 2,000 Maya. So what the certificate of what? Of completion. To have that certificate that this person participated in an Excel program. So it's a certificate of recognition that okay, this person participated in what? In an Excel program. So that is why I said the project covers everything we've done. That's why I said you should have what? You should leave a clean slate like this. A sheet just for your cleaning process. So that is if I want to check the methods you use, I can easily see. And if you have a sheet for your what? For your table. So that means that you'll be accessed based on what? You'll be accessed based on the knowledge of what? Of the functions, how to apply it. Do you get? So is anybody that have question?
So one
Yes,
more
sir. Thank you. Yeah.
Um,
I have a question concerning that. This one that we just spoke
Concerning?
just now. So how that comma, like those commas that were not making the blanks, like that blank function to work. I know
Yes, yes, yes.
see the way you remove.
You see, the moment I split my text, you notice that the commas, they are a reflection of what? The commas are a reflection of what? Reflection of the cell that was what? That was matched together. It's a reflection of the cells that was matched together. So the moment you split those cells, those commas what will go away. Okay, take for example, these cells now, they were separated by comma before. So the moment I split them, you will notice that there's not any comma there again. So it's the same thing that applies to what? To the cells that are not blank, that are showing the comma. So the moment you split it, you perform what first to four. Those commas will also what those commas will also yield. So that is how the commas were eradicated. So
Okay.
do you get? So your data set,
Yes,
try
sir.
to split it first to uh first to column. Then you will notice that what the commas there, you will not see it there again. Do you get? So any other question?
One more question, sir.
Okay.
So you said we should not delete the process for the cleaning of the data, so that we should open another sheet for the new data.
Yes.
So the question is for this under this country column, this Canada. So for like for the data sheet now, so we have to delete. We should delete the remaining two columns that we do not need, Abby.
Now, okay, I'm saying you have two worksheets for your what for your tables. So notice my own. This is my first worksheet. It has what my cleaning process.
Yes.
This is the transformation process that I perform. Now, for the next one, before I convert it to table, I deleted what all those my worksheets. You get so this one that I said you should keep is just for me to when checking it to see how you arrive at what at your answer. Do you understand? It's just for me to see how you arrive at what how you arrive at what at your table. That is why I said you should keep this page. So the moment you create a copy, before you create your table, you can just delete anything you do not need. Do you get?
Okay, understood.
Any other question, Mr. Stephen?
Okay, sir. So you are talking about certificate. I want to ask if this is the end of the program.
Yeah. This end of the program. But the group is still active. If you have any question in the future, just tag me. We are always here to answer.
Okay, sir.
And if you need more information, you have to. If you need more information, or if you want to like proceed further, you can let's talk to the firm. So, but this is a 1 month class, so this is the last Saturday of this month, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, this is the wrap. So, but if you come across any question in the future, you can always ask.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
So, is there any other question?
The project, when are we expected to submit?
Yeah, so for the project, expected to submit I think there will be grace probably, let's see, it's next week Saturday. Yeah, I think the deadline will be Friday ending. It's not something that's much, I expect you guys to just finish it in and out. I trust each and every one of it to complete the project in no time. So before we proceed, before I forget, wait, I'm sorry, please, sorry to interrupt you. Mr. Steven and Mr. Famous, can you please help me with your number in the chat box? So please ask your question. Sorry for interrupting.
So based on what we have learned so far now, is it all this course entails like the data analysis of a team, or we still need more knowledge?
You see, learning process is what you keep on learning. So, but this is for Excel. Do you understand? This is for Excel. With this, we are good to go with Excel. We have other software like what at the beginning of this course. Remember, I told you that we have what you said. I'm creating a dashboard. But you also create a dashboard conveniently. Like we have Power BI, we have SQL. I think that Excel has what acts the limits. So, but for basic things you're doing, like Excel is, you can make use of Excel. You understand? You can make use of Excel. But we have other tools like what, like Power BI, we have what, SQL. We also have what, like we have Python. Do you understand? But the core skill, the core skill that you need as an analyst, Excel is fine with you. But the core skill you need is what, you need to just have the idea of Power BI and SQL, Excel. If you are good with Excel, Excel is enough. Because majority of the job you can actually do it with Excel. But one thing is about this, I don't know if you been to an interview, yeah, most questions you'll be asked when you get the job, you might not even actually know. So it's just that people need people that are very versatile, just in case when the work comes from, if you are told you make use of Power BI, you should be able to answer or to make use of SQL. But oftentimes, Excel is enough. But when we're talking about versatility, you need other skills. But for as far as Excel is concerned, with this we are good to go. Like this is just Excel is basics. Do you get? So with this, we are good to go.
Okay, thank you.
So,
So
sir,
please, is there any
sorry,
other question?
there's still one more question. Is
Okay.
an ETCOM you doing any training? It's not compulsory, it should be free for because I'm very sure for data analytics you cannot only use Excel as only the
Yeah, and it's at Anicon, we offer courses like we offer the data sciences, data analytics, we have the cybersecurity, web development. So depending on the course you want to, like if you want to further, there are other courses. Yeah, other courses. So now because now this is what you're doing is what is Excel. So as a data analytics, if you want to further, you can need what Power BI, SQL. That's what I said that what you need the core. But with Excel, you are good with Excel. As far as Excel is concerned, everything you be taught is enough for you. But if you're talking about other software like Power BI, SQL, yeah, that's a different topic.
like as
Do
you
you
have
get?
done with Excel, now for maybe to empower query that is an ETCOM doing a training on it. That's what I mean.
Yes. Obviously, yes. There is training on it.
So if I want to join, how do I go about it? It's now compulsory to be free.
You can message the I'll, I'll tag the office line. I'll tag the office
Okay,
line to the group. So if you have any inquiry, just so I'll tag the office line to the group. If you have any inquiry, just you'll be attended to.
okay.
Yes, sir. If you have any, you'll be attended to. So is there any other question? Is there any other question? Hello, everyone. Is there any other question?
I think there's no other question. Thank you very much, sir.
So if there's no other question, that would be a wrap. So I wish everyone good luck with your project. If you have any question, feel free to us to ask me. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you
Same
very
to
much, sir.
Have a nice day.